Do you yearn for travel that involves outdoor adventure and learning? I do. I also have a passion for all things farming and agriculture. I've traveled to exotic jungles to learn about growing chocolate. I even once owned my own organic vegetable and sunflower farm. And now I'm planning my journey back to agriculture. Agritourism, defined as travel that involves some type of agricultural experience. Agritourism is all about entertaining, but the marketing strategist in me knows that at its core, agritourism is really about educating, and education affects change. My future farm needs to deliver a profound experience to all of its visitors. It needs to educate people about food, health, and climate. Join me to learn from experienced agritourism farmers and entrepreneurs and help me build my future farm strategy. And who knows, maybe one day soon you'll find yourself in a tropical jungle cutting open cacao pods with a machete, or savoring an outdoor plant-to-plate community dinner with 100 guests at a farm in Illinois. So let's tap into the agritourist in you. I love blueberries, and there is nothing better than picking your own farm-fresh, organic blueberries during blueberry season. Let's back up a second. The constantly changing algorithms on Instagram can be super annoying until they expose a really interesting and inspiring post about a really cool organic blueberry farm and treehouse cafe in upstate New York. So, of course, I needed to reach out, and I am so glad I did, and I am glad that they responded. Rico and Jyl Rivera are the proud owners of the Blueberry Treehouse Farm in West Falls, New York, about 30 minutes from Buffalo. Rico and Jyl had such a magnanimous energy between them. Rico is the creative contractor, while Jyl is the organized implementer. They complement each other perfectly. So what is a treehouse farm cafe? My words won't give it justice, so I will let Rico and Jyl describe this magical place built in the trees. They will take you on their personal, business, and creative journey. I had so much fun learning from Rico and Jyl, and I know you will too. Enjoy. And by the way, it's Jen Ross, and you're listening to the Agritourist Podcast. Welcome to the Agritourist Podcast. And Jyl, I want to actually start because you had posted on April 7th something that it said a lot, but there's a lot of information in here that I want to explore. It said, "Hi, I'm Jyl, your blueberry girl. I became a blueberry farmer overnight 9 years ago. Thanks to my parents who raised me to work hard, friends who believed in us, and a husband who doesn't stop until his vision and dreams are a reality, love that, we are still here today. My pet peeves are liars, laziness, and people who come onto the property when we are closed. My dreams are to have a vegetable garden, hold a chimpanzee, we have to talk about that, travel, and of course, get my goats and donkeys." So let's start. So tell me about each, your history, what happened before this and what brought you here, because it sounds interesting, the overnight thing. So talk to me.
Yeah, I actually love the story. So my husband is the crazy creative, genius behind everything. We were living in Amherst, and he was a landscaper and then decided he wanted to build tree houses. And that's a whole nother venture. So we were building tree houses, and we were renting this property because we got too big for our garage, and we had the barn in the back. So we were renting this property for, I think, 2 years, and it had a blueberry farm on it. And then the owners were going to sell the property. We didn't want to move our business. So we decided to purchase the property. And I had quit my job, and I was a stay-at-home mom while helping him run the business. So I thought, okay, well, now I'm going to man the blueberries. So I literally was Googling how to prune blueberry bushes, how to, everything, because I had no idea. I grew up with horses. I grew up working on like vegetable farms, but I've never done anything with blueberries before. So we kind of just figured it out from there. And that's how this whole thing got started, just by chance, really. We could have found another property with another barn for him to build in, but it just happened to have this blueberry field, and it wasn't doing very well. It was just a U-pick, and, it was hard to get people to come out here, and nobody knew about it. It was tucked way back in. And And that's kind of where the agritourism came. Like, we were like, how do we get people out here? So Rico was like, why don't we build a treehouse play area? And the mom groups got a hold of that, and that took off. And then we started doing music, and then he built the cafe. So
So let's back up. So Rico,
okay,
tree
sorry.
houses. No, 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 no. This is good. It was a great
It's a
summary.
lot.
So no, it's amazing. It's actually a really interesting story. So you were doing tree houses, where like, and that's for kids or for adults? Like, because I know that there was a show on TV that actually they were building tree houses. So what was that about?
Uh, well, we started in '08, and I have been having conversations with the same friend who owned this property. At the time, he co-owned the Tree Doctor, and we had gotten onto the topic of tree houses, and I said, I think I got the carpentry part of it, but I'm not super knowledgeable in terms of trees. I'd been doing horticulture for a while, but trees weren't really my thing, and he said, "Oh, no worries, man. I'll back you up on that." And I said, "All right, cool." So 2 weeks after that conversation, he was like, "You're not gonna believe this, but somebody called me and asked me if I know anybody who could build a tree house." And I was like, "You're kidding." So we built that project under the sort of the tutelage of the tree doctor in terms of tree care, and then that was it for me. I said, "This is it. I don't want to do landscaping anymore. This is my creative outlet. This is what I'm going to do." So that winter we shut down the landscaping business and opened up in the spring as a treehouse builder. And then it took us 2 years to get another project. And we had been advertising and going to trade shows and trying to, beat the drum of wanting to become a treehouse builder, and nobody was responding to it. And then we got a phone call from somebody who had found us online, and they were interested in building a tree house, and they had no money. And I told Jill, I said, if we don't do this, we're never gonna do this for a living. Like we basically have to lose. And that's essentially what we did for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
We had to build our portfolio.
Yeah,
So no one's gonna hire a treehouse builder without a, treehouse in your background. So
sure. So that's what we did. We just lost money pretty much on every job. I mean, don't get me wrong, we made a living, we put fuel in the vehicles, and but we weren't lighting the world on fire. And every winter was like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna buy groceries? Or but I think for me anyways, it was just uh, I had stumbled upon a treehouse book by Pete Nelson, who later then got the show in 2013. He got the show, but that book really changed my life. And when I saw that, I thought, man, somebody's doing this for a living. Like, this is crazy. How lucky are they, And I thought, this is what I want to do for sure. And everybody looked at me sideways and thought, you're nuts. This is never going to work. And I thought,
That's
I
how
don't
it always
care.
is. They always look at you
Yeah,
sideways.
yeah, for sure, So, but we made it work, and we've been struggling, and
but they started out as kid tree houses. We did a lot with Make-A-Wish, which
Okay.
was great. And then, now they're I don't we hardly ever get a kids tree house.
yeah, and frankly, unfortunately, we just can't afford to. Um, the just the liability of having a treehouse business really doesn't allow us to do kid structures because there's just not enough margin there for us to get involved. So now our average tree house is 500,000.
Wow.
So
We're doing
it's
treehouse homes too, and like
yeah.
Yeah,
Airbnbs.
that's what I was gonna ask. Is it a lot of people, are they building this for Airbnb type of purposes or for themselves?
A
Definitely.
mix.
Yeah, I would say probably 50-50. Airbnb kind of changed the playing field, and I think the allure of tree houses and the notoriety of treehouse masters, letting people know, like, hey, this can be so much more than just your kid's play structure. This could be a total way of life. And I for one totally believe in that idea that we can change the standard of living. We can live within nature sustainably, without just plowing it down and saying, well, I'm just going to make a concrete pad and then I'll plant trees after I'm done. And nature just does not respond well to that. I would say that God knows what he's doing, and who are you to try and mess with his plan? So um, you know, that is our goal. Our mission for the construction business is to build sustainable homes within nature. And so we've started developing hardware and, have dreams of this tech that has a sort of a level of communication, like a symbiotic relationship with nature. And that's what we're after now. So the cafe is just sort of, um, it's a cheap way to get people to come back out into nature. The treehouse thing is cool and it's trendy and people like it. And, it's been a great way to sell the berries and get people to come back to nature and say, hey, this is actually really, really cool.
Hey, it's a great marketing tool, though. I mean, so that business, what is the name of that business? Just the treehouse construction business. Is that,
Oh, that's
but
Buffalo
that
Treehouse.
is okay.
And then it's
Okay.
the Blueberry Treehouse Farm. Very
Got it.
confusing.
No, no, no.
We
I
didn't
saw
think
that. I
that one
just,
through.
no, no. It's all good. So that honestly, that's really cool. I love that you do that. And like I said, I think definitely with the Airbnb market, that definitely I could see that expanding a lot, definitely. So okay, so you have this blueberry farm now. And so Jill, are you the main person who focuses on that piece of it? Well,
Um, kind of like he's the creative one, that builds like all the cool structures and things around the farm for people to see. I handle like the day-to-day operations. I prune. I'm usually the one pruning all the bushes. They have to be hand pruned every year. Um, but really, blueberry.
how many
Hmm?
bushes, how many do you
I
have?
think we have like 2,000, give or take.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a challenge, but yeah, I think it's a team effort. I take my part, he takes his part, but the berries, luckily for us, once you prune them, they're on a hill, so they seem to get like a natural water drift off from the natural spring. So they're really easy to take care of, which is great.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, but it's definitely a team effort. He's the vision and I'm the like, function, I guess.
So well, not that the season starts in July, but the picking season begins in July.
Yep. So our
Okay.
berries, we actually have 11 different varieties, which, never even knew that there were different varieties.
I didn't
And
either.
I know. So, and they like the sweetness, there's some tart, the size varies, and the time when they ripen throughout the season. So what's great is that whoever planted these, and they're about 30 years old, these bushes, really thought about that. And so we get, they ripen throughout July, throughout August. So it's a nice, like you'll come here in July and you'll see that there's some that are ready to pick and there's some that are still green. And so, obviously if all 2,000 bushes became blue at once, then we would have, it'd be like a mad frenzy to get them picked before they ripen.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that light's coming in. So yeah,
Is
it's
is it all
been
you pick? Is
yeah.
it the whole thing? Okay, so you
Yeah,
don't
so
have any. Okay.
we started the pre-pick when we first started the farm, or when we took over, I should say. We tried to do that. We had berries out at the road. A lot of people were stealing, and but before, when we first started, I mean, we were struggling to get people here. There are a lot of berries falling to the ground, and um we,
That's nuts.
we really struggled with getting people here, and I tried to do the courts, but it was just hard to find people to pick quality berries and things like that. So once he put that playground in, we got so busy, and then COVID hit, and we were open during COVID because we're an outdoor thing. We couldn't we could barely get enough blueberries for us to eat. There were so many people here, so it really just changed quickly.
So so the Blueberries started when? When did you open up for You Pick under your company?
2015.
Okay, and then when did you open the Treehouse Cafe?
The Treehouse Cafe was 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The
So,
playground went in. When did the playground go in? Like 2019?
18, I think.
18, 19, the playground. And we started doing music, I think, in 2017. So we started doing these concerts before the cafe. We started doing, they're called Blueberry Jams on Thursdays.
I love that.
Yeah. So one of the customers gave me an idea for that. And we thought, well, maybe that'll bring people out. People like music. So we got a temporary beer license, and we had a food truck here. And Rico built this awesome stage. It's like a dome stage. And so we'd have concerts every Thursday night. And it was great. People loved it because they could come with their kids and they could hang out. Their kids could play in the playground. They can pick blueberries and listen to music. And it kind of just took off. So,
Very cool. So
Mhm.
the tree house, I guess when you were on the property, was this something you had a vision for, or is it something that you thought of to help stimulate the blueberry business?
Uh, well, I think that it started with the play area, and I think that was something that we had noticed was just moms were coming here, and usually they have their children with them, and the kids after 10 minutes they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So we thought, well, play area would be nice for them, and that way the kids can kind of do their thing and moms can do their thing, and that works. And that's sort of where the mom group was like, this is a really great place for us to take our kids because it's tough. It's tough when you got kids in tow and you're just trying to keep them entertained and
have
also do
experiences.
something for yourself. And this place was organic, and I think a lot of moms agreed with that, and that sort of worked. And then I think that's the vision for it sort of evolved from there. It snowballed into the band thing, and we had built a gazebo for a trade show to try and promote the treehouse business, and then put that gazebo here. The band started playing there, so then more people came to see the band and discovered the playground in the blueberry field. And then COVID hit, and they shut construction down. So we thought, well, if they're not going to let us work outside of this property, then we'll build something here. So we started to build the treehouse. You know, I'm just,
Airbnb or
yeah,
oh.
I'm. What were you going to
I
say?
think, are you talking about the treehouse air? I don't think she knows that we're doing that.
Well,
No,
so
I
there's
don't
a
know.
We're building during
I don't.
COVID. He's talking about a treehouse Airbnb that we're building on our property. I think she was talking about the cafe.
I was talking about the cafe, but go
Sure.
ahead, please.
Sure. Well, like that chronologically, the timeline of what's happened here in this thing sort of snowballing from one idea to the next, we thought that the Airbnb treehouse would be a great way for us to. We've always wanted to do one here, so we're like, we're just going to start. And the health department was like, I build first and ask questions later. Which I think if you're a real treehouse builder, that's sort of the way you have to be, because treehouse building really is the Wild West, and it's a creative outlet, but most municipalities don't understand what's involved. They're starting to now because standards are being created and more of them are going up, and they're kind of like, well, we should probably write a rule book for this. But so anyways, we started the treehouse, and the health department was like, you can't do any alternative, like you need public water, like no wells, and you need a septic system or city sewer. And we thought, well, shit.
We're all the way in the way back of the woods.
Like, that's not going to work. So that kind of got put on the back burner. But 2 months after the height of COVID, they opened construction back up because people needed to get back to work, and then the phone just rang off the hook because people weren't traveling, and they thought, well, I'm not going to Italy, but
Spend the money in the back.
yeah, we can build something really cool here at our place, and it seems like this is the safest place for us to be. So we got to work and we started building a ton of stuff for other people.
But the cafe, like we realized that a lot of people were leaving, and as they're leaving, they're like, where can we go to eat? Where can we go to do this? And I'm like, man, we're like given all this business. I mean, which is nice for the local, businesses around us, but we're sending everyone away. And so Rico was like, we should just build something here. And I was like, no way. I've worked in restaurants. It's a lot of work. Like, I don't want to do that. So I think I said no for a couple years.
Oh yeah,
and then
it was a hard no.
it was a hard no. And then something happened. I don't know. I like turned around and it was being built. And I was like, okay, we're doing this. And then what, like year one, you were like, what did we do?
Well, I mean,
We had like 50 or 60,000 visitors the first year we were open, and we're in a short 4 month season. And there was like traffic backed up. The police had to come and help with traffic. It was just, we had bought a week's worth of supplies for the food and the drinks. We ran out that day of everything. It was just insane. It was insane. And oh my gosh. I mean, people loved it. It was great. But I am a very
So for people who haven't visited the website,
yeah.
just describe the cafe. I mean, I'm definitely going to post a picture too. It looks beautiful and so inviting.
Sure. So, we tried to keep it as simple as possible, as just sort of an open air structure. So we thought, well, just an elaborate deck. And, we, long story short, I got less trouble from the building department on that cafe deck than I did the treehouse in the back, which blows me away because I'm like, this is open to the public. There's going to be hundreds of people. Like that deck can hold 150 people, and the building department was like, cool, and signed. And I was like, really? Okay.
They just seemed more interested in what we were doing.
But honestly, like all of this came about because of COVID. I think that we were kind of popular with the moms, but COVID really was the catalyst for this.
She wants you to describe the cafe
because I'm getting to it. I mean, I try to be long-winded, but there's a story here.
Oh, sorry.
So anyways, because of COVID, the government was giving these disaster loans away for small business, and we qualified for one of those loans, which is the reason we thought, well, we had been thinking about the cafe for years, and we thought we can pull an investor and we can give that investor a percentage of the stake in this thing, or we can take on this loan, which was low interest, long term. It was a 30-year loan at a low interest rate, and we're like, we could just invest in ourselves and pay a much smaller percentage and own 100% of it. So we took that route. But we wanted something that was kind of organic and reclaimed and made of wood, and so the cafe has a very kind of organic shape to it. The railings are super curvaceous. The balusters are all made of steel that are curved and welded to look like branches. We know we needed something that was sturdy because it was going to be bombarded with people, and all the tin roofs are reclaimed steel.
We have trees going in, which is nice. Like you can sit there and you're on the treehouse deck, but there's like a tree above, like a tree branch, and
yeah, and that was the idea. I think that we knew we wanted to be in the tree canopies, so I would say probably about 70% of the cafe deck is tree supported. And it's we have an elevated mezzanine which holds about 14 to 16 people, and that is like true treehouse, fully tree supported, that sits above the 3 tiers of the cafe deck, and that's kind of space that we rent out privately. And the whole vibe of the place is just intended to be low lit, really chill, in nature, surrounded by just greenery all around. It's within view of the blueberry field, so that's really charming too. The music that we play is of a
Bluegrass.
sort of folk acoustic nature that just gels really well with the wood and the trees. And we've got a little bit of fire, which is always kind of a fun way to spend your time, summer nights being outside.
Well,
And
and there's like two different views for it too. Like if you come during the day, it's a whole nother feeling when you come at night. It's like with the lights going and the fireplaces going, it's just different. I mean, a lot of people describe it as like a magical, just serene kind of space. And I think that's what Rico was going for. He was going for a place that people could feel like they're back in nature, not have to be on their phones all the time, and just kind of be at peace and take in what you're just surrounded by green and surrounded by wood. And even like the tables, they're made with wood tops, and our charcuterie boards he made with they're wood. And it's just a labor of love, really.
organic, I would
Yeah.
say, is just the driving point here. So organic blueberries, organic feel to the cafe, and it's kind of in true treehouse form. If you remember treehouses when you were a kid, it was like whatever you could find, let's use that, and we'll build the treehouse out of that. And I wanted that feeling. So reclaimed materials, everything sort of woody, nothing straight, um, and kind of clunky and strewn together. And I think that's the real feeling of a treehouse. It's just sort of a creative outlet with whatever you can find. So it definitely has that feel. It's maintenance heavy. It's a nightmare every year. We have to, because there's so many people that come there. We just have to stain it and sand it every year. And, I don't know how long that's going to last, but at least with my desire to, keep doing that. But,
It's tough. Because we're seasonal and we're outdoors, every item has to get taken down and put away, and then everything has to be brought out, cleaned and like resurfaced. And so
yeah,
I don't think people understand that. They're like, why aren't you open yet? And it's like, well, there's a lot to do. And we hire about 30 employees, which is
Wow.
great for all the kids in the area because we're seasonal, you're not keeping those long-term people here. So we get a lot of college kids and high school kids. So that's been great too, get them the opportunity to have it there. I have a lot of 14-year-olds. It's their very first job
I think
here.
it's a
So
good source for the community,
yeah.
and I think that one of the reasons why so many people gravitate towards this place is because it's serving the entire family. So there's a little bit for mom, a little bit for the kids. Dad can sort of grab a beer and just sit on a deck and chill out, because he's had a long week, and or whatever the case. I just think,
And the elderly too. I mean, Rico had someone. Remember the lady that you brought down on the golf court?
mhm.
She was crying. She's like, she hadn't felt joy.
She said her husband passed away during COVID, and coming to the cafe was the first time she had felt joy in a couple of years. And I was just like, wow, like if that doesn't do it for you, what other reason do I need? Like I could have shut the whole thing down after that and been like, I'm good. I'm good. I did my part,
Sorry,
So
bank.
That's
so
beautiful.
yeah, and honestly, countless people have approached either one of us with tears just to say like, this is just so beautiful and I'm just so happy here. And I think not only the aesthetics and the overall design architecturally of the cafe, but something about being in the trees and just breathing in all that fresh oxygen. And that people don't understand that like forest bathing is important, that you have to immerse yourself in nature. It is good for you. It's not healthy to be in a concrete jungle, and I think people don't understand why they feel that way when they come there, but they feel that way because they're in nature,
Yep.
and it's affecting them, in a very visceral way. They just don't. They're not going to feel that anywhere else. But it's the forest that's doing that, not so much the architecture. you know,
They might get
Yeah.
good feelings if there were some goats and donkeys here too, probably then.
right? That's
Wait,
a
are there yet or are they not yet? Okay. That was one
not
of your
yet, but
wishes.
it's in
Is
the
that a
what.
hard no, Rico?
What happened to my hard no? That
I was gonna
that didn't last
say,
very long.
so that means that you will get them. You just have to go do
Well,
it.
yeah,
He is actually working on it, at least for goats. We're
that's
working
kind of
on
how
it.
things work around here. It's usually 2 or 3 years of conversations, and then we figure it
And
out.
hints and pushing and
Yeah.
Okay, but that's good. That's good. It's, at
yeah.
least it takes a little time to warm up to it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So just tell me about what you serve there. I mean, it sounds just, it's it sounds beautiful. It just really, I love taking hikes and being in nature. It's like that's my place. And so when I saw this, I was like, my daughter goes to Geneseo, and she's going into her third year this year. And I said, you have to go here. Like I showed it to her. You weren't open yet, but I'm like, when you go back up to school, you have to go there. So she's definitely going to come for a visit and bring her friends with her
Awesome.
because she's all about that too. So I it's just so magnificent from what I can see, and it stinks that I have to see it online right now, but I will get up there because it's beautiful. But so, what do you serve there? I mean, I saw the menu,
Yeah.
but just give me a little bit of
Yeah, we're
description about what you
actually
serve.
we were playing Rico was playing with the menu today a little bit. So we do charcuterie boards and new this
That's
year, I think, are we still doing it before I say it out loud?
Mm.
We're doing a kids charcuterie board that's just only for kids, which I think will
nice.
be fun. And then we
Oh,
do
it's super super cool. I geek out on this stuff because I think I'm just a big kid, but you have these little ant toothpicks that hold like blueberries or cheese, and some of the stuff's got candy eyes on it, and
I
I
love
think
it.
kids are just gonna love it, like little butterfly shaped
crackers.
strawberry
Oh,
and celery, kind of animal
animals.
shapes and
Yeah.
bugs, and it's cool.
Yeah.
That's
So we have
great.
that, and then we have a few appetizers. We're doing like a whipped feta with blueberries and mini naans. We do what is it? Panini sandwiches. So we have limited space and limited things up there. So we do paninis and we do brick oven pizza.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
missing.
Okay.
And then we also a couple years ago we started doing s'mores boards, which are been really popular. So we give them the kit to make the s'mores and some sticks, and we've got all the fire pits so they can take care of that themselves. So it's fun. Kids can kind of be involved, and I think that's what parents like too. That there's something for the kids that's like hands on. So,
Hmm.
and then we
Absolutely.
serve, we try to do a lot of local things. So we do baked goods and cookies from a local bakery. We do a lot of local beer. We have wine. We just don't do liquor, which is, I think, better when you're in a tree house. And we don't want anyone doing shots and getting crazy. Coffee, tea, and things like that. Hot chocolate in the fall and so real simple menu, but it's the flavors are unique, I think, mixed together. We put blueberries on our pizza and um fun things like that. So
Yeah, it's tough when people, because inherently they just think restaurant right away, and we never wanted to be a restaurant. We wanted to be something just super simple. And you're in the woods, like how far can we take this? But they come here and they think restaurant, so now we have to like keep pushing towards
cafe.
accommodating them, because we don't want anybody to leave dissatisfied, but at the same token,
We're not doing like, wings and steak and
not
fryer things,
nothing
things like that.
fried, just trying to stay on the simple side of things, and hopefully people will understand that that's the goal. Not a 5-star, come get steak and potato place. It's not that.
You know what? I just want to say real quick, it's pretty awesome. We had several people propose here at our farm, and some have been like without us knowing that they're going to. Some have been where they kind of rent out the space on a day we're closed for like a family party, and they can hide it like that. But I just think that's kind of magical too, that, we were picked for that location, because that's something that you'll always remember. And,
Well, yeah, people want different for those moments.
Yeah.
So I think them doing it here is sort of a nod to saying, well, this place is different, and memorable. So let's do it here. And I like that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Totally.
So what's been the most challenging thing, in putting this all together? Both in farming, I guess you can maybe even say in agritourism, bringing people onto your property. I mean,
I think that's it right there. The most difficult thing is having these people on the property. While we're super grateful, it comes with a lot. So one of my pet peeves, people wander onto the property whenever they want. And we also live here. So that's a huge challenge. So my kids will be in the back, and there's a closed gate and there's a closed sign, and they'll park and walk around it. And the biggest thing that they say to me, the most popular, is, I know you're closed, but I wanted to see it. And I get that. And it's hard because they don't realize this happens constantly. It literally just happened before we came in here. There was a woman on the playground. So it's just difficult because there's certain days that we're closed, and that's our time. That's our time to work on things or be with our family, and you're just surrounded by people. So I think that's been the hardest thing for me, is having the separation from home and work, because we live here. But we're trying to change that. I think with farming, Rico would say grass. Because we're organic, we don't spray anything. And that grass just wants to grow like crazy. So weed whacking and keeping that field.
I would say maintenance for sure, and just management of people. I'm not when the restaurant, here I go, I just said restaurant.
You did say restaurant.
When the cafe,
You're manifesting that,
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm the one who did it, right?
You did build that.
I'm just not, I don't like the hustle. I'm just so much more slower paced. And sometimes I'll go up there and it's absolute chaos. I'm like, I have to leave.
I thrive in the chaos.
She's good with that.
It's a good balance, though. It's a good balance.
I'll jump into like, all right, you guys are super busy. I'll help you make a couple boards or some sandwiches. And then 3 hours later, I'm like, just shoot me. It doesn't stop, but
it can get pretty insane up there.
I honestly I did not, and I don't know why. I just didn't expect that. I just thought the tempo where it was before, it was sort of cool and quaint, and there was like a decent flow of people, and I thought, well, this is neat. We should build a little cafe, and that'll be neat too. And
people come and have a cup of coffee and bring their laptop.
It wasn't that. We had a mutual friend of ours come here for just a night visit in the days leading up to opening, and he had snapped some photos and without asking us had posted it on social media saying like, guess what's coming, and it just exploded. And
I had to turn my phone off. I had to stop taking emails. We were scrambling to get finished to get open, and like opening day, I think you finished building it on the 5th and we opened on the 7th. So I had 2 days to get everything set up, and we didn't have time to really train anybody. And yeah, like I hadn't posted pictures because I didn't want it to be a crazy opening, and I didn't know he was going to post those. And when he did, it had thousands of shares. It just went crazy. And we had a line out the door. We're obviously grateful for the business. We just wanted it to happen a little organically. Like a few people came on opening day, and then they post the pictures, and then we get a little busier. And I think a news station wants to do an interview with us, and they wanted to do it before opening day this year. And I was like, could we wait? Could we do it the week after? I said, let us just get the groove back, it's hard because you got kids coming back. You have to remember how to do everything, and it's seasonal. So it's a little tough. And he likes to change things. So the menu has changed. So we have to learn those things.
Well, I want it to be fresh. I want when people come back here every year to say, oh, this is new or that's different. And there's a lot of art here, So this year, God willing, if I can finish it, I want to do like a moon swing that's lit up, that makes it look like you're sitting on a crescent moon. It's enough for two people to sit on and take photos. But that'll be a new thing for people to come say, like, this place is just,
He also has ideas of a Santa, like doing a winter event. There's a Santa on a zip line from the hill, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like
I love it though.
That's coming.
So I bet it is.
We really compliment.
No idea. It's already made.
Shut up. We really compliment each other. Like, I am not the dreamer. I have my little dreams, but like, he's the crazy one, and like, I'm the one that I let him do what he wants, but I try to bridle it a little within our means and stuff like that. And we get asked a lot, which is funny because we're always working in the cafe, and people are like, "You guys work together? You married? You lived? Like, how do you always together?" And we actually celebrated our 15-year anniversary yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So, but we, yeah, I think we just compliment each other well in that aspect where even though his dreams are crazy and I know like, we're just going to struggle. I know I love him so much. And I know that like, it means the world to him to get those out there. Even if we struggle, even if it kills us, like he has to do it. He won't be able to like sleep at night unless he builds this thing. That's why the cafe got built. But it took him 3 years, but he got it done, right? 3 years of convincing, kind of. But
yeah, only took us a year to build it.
Yeah, only took a year to actually build it, but 3 years to start it. So yeah,
it's been a whirlwind for sure, So we're blessed. I cannot complain. It's work all the time, but
are you going to build the Airbnb or no?
So it is,
or is it built already?
That's not finished.
Right. Okay. So the core shed, it's about 80% of the way there. This past winter, we just installed the septic system here, which was just another 6-figure crazy thing that because of the size, the capacity of the cafe, and the fact that we ultimately want to do about 5 tree houses here to rent out, we had to design the system big enough to support all of that. So that was last year's big hustle. And this past winter, we just got the lines. I want to say it's probably a couple thousand feet from the road to where the Airbnb treehouse is. And we had to get all the septic and water all the way back there because it couldn't be it had to be city. And that starts at the road.
There. Yeah, it's almost there. And when we started not promoting it, but people saw we were building something, I got a lot of like, can I get on a wait list? And so we started a wait list years ago. Didn't realize that I probably shouldn't have done that, but I stopped it. I think last year, the year before, I was like, I can't take any more names. So we have over 50 people. And it's going to be really complicated on when we finally get it up and organizing all those people. And I haven't forgotten about them. Just so you know, people, I haven't forgotten about you. I still have my wait list. But we know that that's going to just take off like crazy, and they're the most sought out Airbnb rentals, I think, are tree houses.
Yes, so. still are,
Yeah, there's not anything really around here like it. So
one of the cool things too that's happening in West Falls is West Falls just qualified and received a grant from the New York Forward program, which basically they've granted us $4.5 million for the businesses in this region, and we're one of like
check.
Yeah, so
I was going to ask you what that was.
He did not want to do that picture. I forced him. I'm like, when are we ever going to have an opportunity with a big check?
Right, to hold a big check for millions of dollars. Probably never,
But unfortunately, people kept thinking we were getting that money. Like, no, not us.
No, but our business is in line to receive some of those grant funds, and I think with that, we may end up doing another Airbnb treehouse, and we own the building out front too, which used to be the general store in town. So Part of the New York Forward program is to build out these little hamlets to have more businesses. So we may convert that back into a general store for the
Oh, nice.
community. So on top of everything else we've got going on, there's that.
Yeah, but the idea is to bring people to the area. So
So
that's
how far are you from, I guess, Buffalo or like the main?
like
30
downtown,
minutes.
about 30 minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and we get people from all over. We had joked about putting a map here and just like having people pin where they're from because we get people from all over the country. Um, and some of them are visiting friends in the area or they're going to Niagara Falls and we're like, what else is around? And they discover this place and come here. So we've had a lot of people from all around the country come check this place out.
How do you think you've been discovered? Mostly online, social media?
Word of mouth and social media. I think the farm has like 30,000 followers,
I think so.
something like that.
I
Like
think
Buffalo
so.
Treehouse has like 6,000, you know.
That's
So
probably
They're
a good
both
thing,
yours,
though.
but combined, that's a lot.
So, have you had requests to replicate to do this in other places?
not requests, but I have had people tell me that they're pretty much just going to do it.
Well, we had a guy ask Rico to build the same thing for him, and he's like, "It won't be competition. I'm like an hour away." And we're like, "Well, I think that's a little bit competition for, an hour is not that far."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
up there it's not.
yeah,
Here it is.
No, but we've talked about possibly
expanding.
building a second location and seeing where it goes. I have a brother in North Carolina and we had joked about building one there and it's a good excuse to go to North Carolina often. But yeah, the model works for sure. And I think the cafe would probably do okay by itself, but it's everything that's happening here. It's the blueberries, it's
Yes.
the playground,
The
it's
artwork.
the woods, the cafe, the Airbnb, the
I
you
don't
know
know if you saw in pictures, he like this is kind of just explains Rico a little bit. We had to he likes totem poles. He's always liked like totem pole kind of things. And we had to take down two trees. And he was like, "Man, they're just too straight." And I was like, "Oh no, here we go." So he was like, "I'm going to put these up in the field. I'm going to put tiny tree houses on top of them." And so, it's not just putting a pole and like he has to put a concrete footer and there has to be this massive like metal bracket that he has to make. And there's how tall are those?
50 foot.
50-foot tree. And then there's this cute, like, artistic tree house on the top of it. And we thought, oh, maybe hawks would nest in there and, help with our bird issue. And because we used to use netting and we stopped that, that was a nightmare. So now we kind of just let the birds do what they do. But he ended up having our electrician, who's also his partner, ended up having him light them up. So, they're really magical looking. Nothing's going to nest in them. But it's just funny because people are like, what's the purpose of these? I'm like, there's no purpose. Rico just had two trees that were straight and he had to do something with them. So
But they're
they
awesome.
are awesome.
It
And now
sounds.
we grow hops. We grow hops up them too.
Oh,
So that kind
wow.
of,
Okay,
just makes
so
it
multi-purpose.
yeah.
Yeah, they're hot poles. Still
But
there.
it's just funny, just like he just sees things and that's why people like it's fun here because there's just different little things. Even our chicken coop is cute,
You saw the shark too, right?
Oh, there's a shark in our playground.
No,
You
I
didn't see?
didn't.
No?
No,
No.
I
Oh,
have
he's our
to. No,
mascot.
okay.
There's a shark in our play area. It's big
Okay.
too. It's like 26 foot,
When he told me he was
great white.
building a shark, he said, "Babe, it's just going to be something cheap and small and easy." And I'm like, "Those are three words that
I
just
was going to
you
say, you
never."
didn't believe that, right?
No. I go out there and I was like, it was 26 feet long. And we ended up having to take it down and repair it. And while it was on the trailer, he goes, "We should drive this around." So we loaded the kids in the car. We loaded all the guys in the truck. I blasted, Baby Shark. And we just traveled around Buffalo and visited. We went to like nursing homes and schools, and we ended up getting on the news. It was crazy.
Well, we called the news and said, "You're not going to
You
believe
did?
this. There's a shark." I think Adam, one of our guys, called the news and said, "There's a shark driving around the streets," and they're like, "Where is it?" So they stopped us and we did an interview with them, and it was just like an impromptu kind of let's drive a shark around town.
But that's the fun part of
I
Rico.
love
Like
it.
it ended up being awesome. Me, I'm like, we have so much work to do. Like we should not be driving the shark around. But it ended up being an amazing, amazing day. So it was fun.
No, I love that. I mean, that's great. How old are the kids? Obviously, I know one plays
Now,
baseball, right?
yep, now they are 14 and 12. Our daughter's 14 and our son is 12, and they both work at the farm. So, which is great. My daughter, well, she's like, Mom, I can't always work at the farm. On my resume, it's going to look bad that I'm just working for my parents. And I was like, Layla, until you have a car and you are driving yourself to your job, you will work at the farm because you can literally walk right outside and go to work.
Sure, I think these kids don't quite realize what an education they're getting here, and I think that they're going to grow up someday and say, you know what, that was pretty cool. Everything
It
that mom and
is.
mom and dad did, and they're so adapted to being around thousands of people, so socially they're not awkward. They're always around crowds, and they deal with customers, and it's funny, we'll sit at the dinner table and Jill and I be having a discussion about margins and business, and our daughter will chime in and say, I don't think there's enough profit there for us to be doing that. And I'm like, you're 13. What do you know
No, but
about profit? But
that is amazing, though. You are
I think that
exposing them to so many unique skill sets that
for sure.
most kids do not get at,
Well, what was
any
it?
age these days.
Our first year, 2015, how old was Layla? 6? Yeah, she was 6. We bought the farm and we weren't living here yet. That's another, like we ended up selling our house in Amherst and moving here because with 2 toddlers going back and forth, pruning and everything, it just got to be way too much. So quick story, we lived in a tiny office with 2 twin beds put together, a 19-inch tube TV. It was a small office. We had the bathroom in the garage that wasn't heated and a makeshift kitchen in our metal shop. And we did that for 6 months. It was the best time though. We had so much fun. But anyways, our first year pruning, I had the kids with me and I grew up in the country, but I'm like, they're my babies. Like, don't wander off, stay with me. And Rico's like, let them explore. And I'm like, okay. First day, my daughter comes running up the hill. Mama, Mom, I found a dinosaur bone. And I was like, oh no. What did she find? Either it's a stick or it's some sort of animal. So she comes up, and sure enough, she had an intact, full raccoon skull. And she's like holding it up, so proud. And then she insisted on taking it to pre-K for show and tell. So we had to clean this thing and,
I
and put
just
it.
I just imagine the comparison between what the other kids had and her coming in like, yeah.
Like a stuffed animal, this little stuffed animal. It was like, and I made her take it in a bag, and I was like, "Do not open that bag." And I guess the teacher had said something like, all the kids were like, "Open the bag! I want to smell it! I want to smell it!" But
That's
yeah,
great.
that's how it kind of started.
For sure,
But
and I think that I've had conversations with friends of mine when they're like, "Man, you're just working all the time, it's crazy," and I said, "Look, at the very least, what I'm telling my kids is saying, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to go do whatever your heart tells you to do. As long as you're doing good in the world, chase your dreams. Don't ever give up. And that's an important lesson. To not give up on chance. To safe. There's nothing to be gained in playing small. You have to go big, and you can't be afraid, and I hope that for them, that's the takeaway when they leave this place, to say like, Dad was such a dreamer, you know,
But he accomplished it, everything he
right. It's
wanted.
one thing to talk, but it's another to take action and to execute. And
And it's not just going to be handed to you. You gotta
you gotta
work
hustle.
for it.
You gotta hustle, and
And
don't
it
be
may not
afraid to.
happen in the way you think it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Or as
No.
fast.
This evolved very uniquely. This whole,
Yeah.
I mean, your story is it's not a straight line. It definitely had a lot of twists and turns, but it's pretty amazing how it came together though, so far, you know.
Yeah.
Rico,
Facts.
I'm sorry. I think she deserves though the goats and the donkeys. I think she
I
deserves
agree. I'm
them.
not trying to deny her that. I just I want to make sure,
Sooner than 3 years.
Right.
so I hear her father in my head because they grew up with horses, and her mother loved horses, and her father got the horses for her mother, and he's like, they just take money. They don't make me any money. And I know that's what the goats and the donkeys, and they're just gonna take money.
They make happiness.
Yeah.
So the one thing that we use with the farm, and we kind of, as an excuse, like, we got chickens. Well, the chickens don't make us any money. I don't sell the eggs, I give them away. And, I'm like, well, but it's nice for our customers. So everything's like for the
Right.
customers. So the goats will be for the customers, but, they're really mine. So everything's for the customers. Just
Yes.
you
Don't
got goats, you get more people.
don't the goats eat grass? You know, maybe they can help with
They also eat blueberry bushes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
But my daughter wants to put a harness on them and walk them. So she's like, I'll walk them along the base of the blueberry bushes, and they'll eat all the grass. And she has a plan. But
Yes, we all have a plan.
And okay,
Yes.
so Jyl, what's with the chimpanzee?
So it just
That I might say, okay, that we could wait on.
That's not gonna happen
that's my
here.
number one goal. Yeah, probably won't happen here, but I just, I don't know, I was growing up and it was my favorite animal. I did all my school reports on it. Every binder had the monkey on it, and I had several dreams growing up, and I've accomplished some of them, and that is one that has still not happened. But chimpanzees have always been my number one favorite animal. I just feel a connection. Jane Goodall's my idol, and I don't know. I need it to happen. So maybe someday.
So I have to
Rico.
ask you, how did you guys meet? Because you definitely have a special
Oh,
relationship.
that's a story for another day.
He was actually he was playing music. He was playing his guitar and singing. He's also a musician. And I was at a party, and it was actually his going away party. And he was going to Ohio to live with his girlfriend, and I'd seen him and I immediately fell in love with him. Just, he was everything that, like, when you were like younger in your high school, you have like your dream guy. He was totally it for me. He had the skater shoes on, and he was playing guitar, and his hat backwards, and I was like, yeah, I love him. And 3 years later,
Not weird.
3 years,
Not in a weird way.
everything's 3 years. 3 years later, I was breaking up with mine. He was breaking up with his and moving back. And I had gone to school with his younger brother, college, and he was like, hey, we're all going out. And I'm like, nah. He's like, my brother's going to be there. And I said, okay. And so I just kind of forced him to be mine. So we've been together for 20 years now.
Yes.
So,
That's great.
but I just knew it. And like, as soon as I saw him,
Forcibly yours.
I don't think any other woman would deal. Like, when I grew up, my house was under construction all the time. We had, in the kitchen, you had to walk on the joists. And he always jokes that, like, he doesn't think anyone else would put up, because our house is always under construction, and we move from place, and it's always under building or something. So
Yeah, and I always sell as soon as it's done.
yeah,
So-
I never have lived in a finished house. Someday.
So let's hope we never finish it, right?
We're too busy building stuff outdoors. That's where we spend most of our time anyways. So finish that out there. And
Maybe a
Yeah.
treehouse.
Yeah, I might move into the Airbnb.
I was going to say.
Although we need the income, so I don't know.
For sure. For sure.
We got to pay it off.
That's a great
Well,
space.
You
No,
guys
but
are wonderful. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you and learning about your story. So I'm so excited to come up and visit. So when is the season? It starts when do you open the treehouse? Obviously, you said
cafe.
July. Yeah, the cafe.
So
Yes,
our
Treehouse
hours,
Cafe.
yeah, our hours are a little weird. So like I always tell people for the months of June, September, and October, we're open. The cafe is open, the playground is open, and we're open on the weekends. But then in the months of July and August, we're open 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday. And that's when blueberry picking is, and the cafe is open. So
Okay.
and then through June through October, we have music every Friday and Saturday on the cafe deck. And then also in the months of July and August, because that's our busiest time, we have our Thursday concerts. So we've got a lot of live music here, and yeah.
Usually get good crowds on Thursdays, anywhere from 500 to 800
So
people on
real quick,
Thursdays.
funny story.
Wow.
When Rico wanted to open our first year, we were talking about what days we're going to be open and our hours, and he was like, I'm like, how many days should we open? He's like, 7 days, 7 days. We have a short season. We have to make as much money as possible. We have a lot to pay back. And I'm like, 7 days, 7 days a week. We're never going to be able to take a break or do this or get supplies or payroll. And then we opened on a Thursday. And by Sunday, he was like, shut it down, shut it down. He was like, I can't do that. Like it was just nuts.
Like, I need 2 days. I need
So
2 days.
Never listens to me. Never listens to me. And so now that's
funny.
why. So for July and August, we're shut down Mondays and Tuesdays, and that's when like we regroup and clean stuff, cut the grass, take care of anything that needs to be taken care of, gets our supplies, and take care of paperwork and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
So.
and honestly, that's just the nature of having a cafe in nature. Like, the grass has to get cut, maintenance has to happen. It's not like a typical restaurant where, there's a night shift and they'll take care of it in the morning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Being
not.
open till 11 o'clock at night, sometimes it's like, you also want to sleep. So, and we're working most of those shifts. So, but we're getting out of that. We're trying to hire more people and hire managers so we can kind of get back to a life.
And do people need a reservation, I presume? Or no, it's just walk in. Okay.
No, but
Reservations are for restaurants.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay.
if you want, I mean, we do rent space. So our treehouse mezzanine is rentable space. So you would have to reserve that if you wanted to have like a private.
Yeah, it's a long table. You can fit about 14 people. So we rent that out, like meetings. We've had birthday parties up there, and that's a cool space. Study groups and things like that.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. You guys are
Thank
great.
you so much.
Thank you. Sorry, we tend to like just ramble. So
I
sorry
love it. No, I love the stories. I love
There's
the
so much
synergy
involved.
and
Yeah.
yes, and everything you created is amazing. And I really am excited to visit, and I will definitely get up there. I'll shoot you a text and
I was going to say,
let
make
you
sure you
know.
tell us. Yeah.
Yes, no, because I want to be able to get in. So maybe when my daughter goes back up to school, I'll tag along and I'll bring her up there.
Definitely.
But yeah, thank you so much.
That's
And
good.
so good luck with everything.
Thanks
And
so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for thinking
thank
of
you.
us with this. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
I love it. All right, take care, guys. Have a good
You
night.
too.
Bye. Thank you.
I hope our AgriTourist podcast prompts you to think more about where your food comes from, whether it be your vegetables, fruits, meats, and even those sweet treats. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with someone you think may truly benefit from or be inspired by it. Visit us at agra-tourist.com. Until next time. As we are learning from many of our farmers and entrepreneurs, strong connections help propel our visions. Through my interview with Lisa Chase from the University of Vermont Extension and Vermont Tourism Research Center, I was connected to an exciting and new organization called the Global Agritourism Network, or GAN for short. The global network is made up of agritourism stakeholders from around the world. They include farmers and ranchers, researchers, educators, community planners, policymakers, agricultural service providers, and tour operators, among others. It is currently free to join, so if you have any interest in agritourism, check them out at agritourism.urac.edu/GAN, or just Google Global Agritourism Network. The link will be in our show notes as well. You never know, this global network may help you take your agritourism vision to the next level.